Welcome to The Money Hour with host Tina Mitchell and co-host Keelan Harvey. Tina Mitchell, MLO 145420, and Keelan Harvey, MLO 1330075, are licensed loan originators with Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC, and MLS 7233. The views expressed by the speakers on the following program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC, nor are they necessarily endorsed by Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC. Now, in the studio, local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome to the Money Hour at 11:50 a.m. KKNW, the Saturday, July 28 show. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And co-host Keelan Harvey.
You're a local mortgage experts bringing in expert advice and inside knowledge on today's events in our local economy and how it can affect your money. If you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but we're here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that we have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And the lineup for our show today, Andrea Kearns with RE/MAX Metro Realty. Everything you need to know about today's real estate market and how to ensure you get the most money for your property. And next guest in studio, Vanessa Betancourt with Century 21 WP and Associates, the truth about being a first-time home buyer. And last guest in studio, Vince Humphrey, attorney at law with Humphrey and Associates, divorcing. Not questions regarding your property today, but divorce, or what do you need to know when it comes to real estate and a divorce. Great information, great guest in studio today. For more information on any topic discussed, please feel free to call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And we'll start out today's show, just like we do each week, with a little money chat.
Money.
Interesting topic today. Seattle's landlords selling due to new rental laws. This could actually be great news to assist with the inventory shortage in the Seattle real estate market. We've seen a little shift in the market. We're going to talk about that a little bit later today when we talk with Andrea, but we're still very low inventory compared to what's considered a normal market. A recent University of Washington study on Seattle showed that 40% of Seattle landlords gave, sold, or planning to sell their properties due to the new rental laws. Purchasing real estate for investors is viewed as an investment, just like any other investment like stock. It's an investment where they want to make a strong return. But some Seattle landlords don't find the new rental rules to be worth it. The rules include expanded source of income protections, a ban on using criminal records as a deterrent factor, restricting the size of security deposits in the first in the law, which forces landlords to take the first renter that applies and meets the criteria. It was recently struck down by a Superior Court judge, but the city of Seattle has filed an appeal, so investors are getting nervous and pulling out, maybe a little bit early, we'll see. Not only are landlords finding it difficult to maintain their properties under all the new ordinance, but they don't believe in any of them are actually making Seattle more affordable. According to the report, 1 in 5 increased their rents in the past year in response to the new city ordinance. Thousands of local landlords do not believe that the city of Seattle should be attempting to make housing more affordable. That's one insight from the survey released in the University of Washington. The online survey asked 4,236 property owners and managers about their practices, Seattle's landlord-tenant laws, and their feeling about the Seattle City Council. In a surprise to no one, they are really mad. And despite landlords' lobbyists insisting that landlords are really nice people who are just like us, the landlords who participated in the survey showed little appreciation for the city council efforts to help renters. Now, the survey gave respondents a list of potential goals and asked them which of the goals that the city council should have as they establish the housing policies. The goal included things that would favor tenants, like increasing the supply of rental units, providing affordable housing, and things that would favor the landlords, like making it easier for them to terminate leases and reducing risk to landlords associated with providing affordable housing units. Now, the vast majority of the landlords responded. 89% chose none of the goals. Not one of the goals has been supported for more than 1% of the respondents. Just crazy numbers. Now, the UW research has also conducted small focus groups with a total of 46 landlord tenants and tenant representatives. Landlords said that they feel shut out of the council's deliberations about rental regulations and demonetizing by the council. Now, since 2015, the city council has banned housing discrimination based on source of income, special move-in deals based on renters' employers, bared rent increased at substandard housing units, required landlords to offer payment plans for move-in fees, required landlords to rent to the first qualified applicants known as first in time, and barred landlords from refusing tenants because of the criminal records. So landlord groups have sued over the laws regarding criminal records, first qualified applicants, and the move-in fees. Now, some landlords said already practice some things in the council wants, like offering payment plans for move-in cost, but don't want to be forced to do so. Now, from the renter's perspective, the city-founded report indicated that the biggest issues with housing are affordability, discrimination, lack of adherence to the awareness of rental laws, and limited transparency in the application process. Rental prices remain high, but have gradually flattened out according to data tracked from Zillow. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Again, I think it's great news as far as the lack of inventory to get some more properties on board for any of my renters or my investors out there that have rental properties. I know it's not such good news for you, but overall, it's not all bad news. That's the Money Chat for today. Coming up next in the Money Hour, everything you need to know about today's real estate market and how to ensure you get most money for your property. Andrea Kearns with RE/MAX Metro Realty right here at 11:50 a.m. KKNW after this short break.
Would you like to make a real difference for local individuals and families that are struggling with poverty, homelessness, abuse, and violence? Assistance League of the East Side is an all-volunteer, nonprofit organization that works to improve the lives of our neighbors every day. With your generosity, we can help individuals and families right here in our community through our philanthropic programs, including Operation School Bell. This year, Operation School Bell has provided 3,500 local children in need the opportunity to shop for new clothes, shoes, and coats. This helps them focus on learning, and they go to school with more confidence. To learn more about how you can become a volunteer with our organization or make a tax-deductible donation, visit aleastside.org.
Never imagined your marriage would be ending? Not sure if you're going to be the weekend parent? How long is the divorce process going to take, and who can you trust? The attorneys at Humphrey & Associates understand that these are just a few questions that may be going through your mind. You're not alone, and they've helped many people in your same position. Their mission is to serve you while you get through this difficult time. Divorce and parenting plans are difficult enough. Working with an attorney shouldn't be. Humphrey & Associates is committed to providing affordable legal services that you can trust. You need good, solid legal advice that isn't going to cost a fortune. Worry no more. To schedule your free consultation, just call 206-946-8580 or go online to halegalteam.com.
Hi, this is Vincent Humphrey. Go ahead and give us a call today at 206-946-8580, or you can reach us online at halegalteam.com. Again, that's 206-946-8580 or online at halegalteam.com. Love to hear from you.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell.
And co-host Keelan Harvey. Your
local mortgage experts right here at 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, July 28th show. It's a great day to talk money, and that's what the show is all about, how to make money, save money, and have a better quality of life for you and your family. If you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but we are here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that we have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150, or you can go online at themoneyhour.com. In studio, our first guest, Andrea Kearns with RE/MAX Metro Realty. Everything you need to know about today's real estate market and how to ensure you get the most money for your property. Andrea, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, so excited to have you here. And a little bit about Andrea. Andrea is in her 15th year real estate as a full-time broker. She grew up outside of the Portland, Oregon and Lake Oswego.
Lake Oswego.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And always dreamed of being a real estate agent when she grew up. After graduating from OSU with a business major and minor in communication and marketing, she moved to Seattle where she met her husband. They live in Ballard with their 2 boys, ages 4 and 7. And Andrea started real estate with John L. Scott, then moved over to RE/MAX, where she has been for the past 11 years. She has been awarded the RE/MAX Hall of Fame Award and has continually ranked in the top 10 in her office. Congratulations for that, Andrea.
Thank you.
Andrea couldn't be happier doing her dream job as well as helping buyers and sellers all around Seattle.
So, Andrea, we've noticed the market's changed a bit. So, compared to 6 months ago, how's the market today?
Yeah, we've definitely had a shift, to say the least. 6 months ago, it was very, very crazy, busy. But we, like Tina was saying, we've had a little more inventory come on the market. So there's been a big shift, which has been super nice for the buyers. They're getting a nice breath of fresh air. Like, oh, it's not 7 offers on a house. It's 1 or 2, maybe 3, but not much. So yeah, it's been nice for the buyers. Sellers are kind of going, hey, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And what a great call to action, right, Andrea, to really get with clients that are out there that have been defeated to, get back into the market.
For sure.
So, Andrea, why do you think that the market has seen this little bit of slowdown?
Well, every summer we always have a bit of a slowdown in Seattle. It's kind of a typical real estate cycle, but we had the slowdown happen a bit earlier this year. It was more in May, where everyone kind of went, hey, what's going on? So we've definitely had a lot more inventory, and I think that can be due to a number of reasons. It can be I've had people reach out to me and just say, hey, you know what? It's getting too expensive in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
B, I'm frustrated with the tenant laws in Seattle.
Yes.
I don't want to be a landlord anymore. There's been a lot of different reasons why people are selling. And they've also seen, hey, my neighbor's getting, a ton of money. It doesn't seem like they have to do much to sell their house. So, hey, I want to do it too. Well, it's changed. So we'll talk about that more.
Yes.
Are we still seeing like these multiple offer crazy scenarios? Or
Yes and no. I mean, we're not seeing it like we were. And the last 5 buyers that I got in contract over the last month, all of them were the only offer on the review date. And so we're starting to see a little bit of people pricing their properties as they want to, the price that they want to sell them at, and not doing review dates, which is also another nice shift for the buyers.
Yes. Well, I know Keelan's had a couple recent deals come over where the seller is paying closing costs. That's craziness. I've had 2
Seller
offers
credits?
where they've got contingent on their home selling. Right now under contract, they're waiting for their house to sell.
I know.
So yeah, it's interesting. And it's funny because this is a normal market. What you expect is to have some ability to kind of negotiate things,
What?
right?
Crazy. Negotiate? We haven't been
What
used to
is
that
that?
in years. And now we're actually seeing it again. I feel like I'm bringing back all my old real estate skills again. It's like, oh my gosh, we get to actually negotiate contracts. We haven't done that in years.
Yes.
It's so great.
So awesome.
So, yeah.
So, Andrea, what about the cash buyers? Because that's always been a real challenge in the recent. Are you seeing that there's as many cash buyers? And when you are seeing the cash buyers, is it causing a frenzy around that because...
Yeah, cash buyers, we're not seeing as much as we were.
And why is that? Where are those cash buyers going?
I don't know.
I guess with the investors coming in to pay, cash with the rental laws, that's...
Yeah, but people were like, I'm getting beat out left and right due to all these cash offers. And now, it's maybe 5% of the time that you'll see cash offers. And like I said, 5 buyers that I got in contract this last month, all of them were the only offer. So they weren't having to compete against all cash. So that's
and
really nice.
where were those properties located,
mostly
Andrea?
over in Ballard and Seattle
crazy.
area. Yeah.
So if homeowners are thinking of selling, and I know we've had a change in the market and that kind of comes up to the forefront of their brain, what are some of the things they can do to ensure they get the most money out of their property?
Well, sellers really need to get their property in tip-top shape. This is not the market where you just put a sign in the front and let it sell. That's not the way it's going anymore. You've got to fix all those things that you've had on the back burner and like, oh, I was going to do that last year and haven't gotten to it, or whatever it is. If you're thinking of selling, do all of those things. Get it looking its very, very best. Get it staged, get the windows cleaned, get it painted. I mean, those are just easy things that can be done. And it's more than pays for the money that you put in. You get it out exponentially.
Yeah, and isn't it true too, Andrea, with that, regardless of what market we're in, and that's where I think sellers have gotten lazy, that all of those advice that you're giving is a given in any market because it's going to allow them to get top dollar, regardless if they have one offer or 20 offers. You want your house to be the best it possibly can to create the best situation, right?
For sure.
So let's talk about price, Andrea. What different things are you doing when you're talking with your sellers on specific price strategies that accommodate to the market adjustment?
Yeah. So in the past, we've been, saying, well, I know you want to sell it here up high, but we need to price it down here, down low, because we need to generate all this interest and we need to get multiple offers. Well, now that's not really the case. We're saying, hey, if you want, $750 for your house, that's the market value. That's where we're going to price it. And that's where we need to be, because you may only get one offer. And are you going to be okay with that?
Yeah.
So I think the sellers need to be a little more realistic about the market. This isn't going to be bid up over $100,000 and you're going to have 10 offers and they're going to give away their firstborn. That's not happening anymore,
Thank goodness for the buyers.
Yeah. I know. So the sellers just need to kind of adjust their mindset. We've had a shift. And we just need to be a little more realistic about this market that we're kind of getting into, a little more balance.
Yes.
Dare I say?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it might be a little more balance, which is just, I think, nice on all sides of the transactions.
Totally agree. And, that's really why, again, working with an expert like yourself and Vanessa that we're talking with today next, why it's so important to have an expert working for you, because strategies change. They're going to be different depending on what market you're in.
Sure.
And so really understanding and working with an expert that can strategize around that price.
For sure.
So, Andrea, I'm a homeowner in Seattle, and I'm curious, when's the best time for me to sell?
Typically, we always say the spring is a great time to sell. And that's due to the fact that when the new year hits, there's a lot of buyers that decide, hey, it's a new year. I want to own a home. I want to buy. So then they kind of get into the market. As the spring happens, you have a little more inventory come on and you have a lot more buyers come on. So typically there are less homes for sale than there are buyers. So there is this spring frenzy in the Seattle market where we have a little more buyers than we do inventory. It's been a little jaded these last few years, but that's typically what we say. I mean, granted, any time of the year you can always sell your home, but if you're going to you want the most money possible, the spring is usually the best time.
So, Andrew, what if we switch over to buyers historically in the Seattle market? When is the best time to buy?
Now is the best time to buy. I always tell my buyers who get frustrated in the spring, don't worry. Come summertime, you're going to get a house.
Yes.
And lo and behold, it's usually July, August, where their inventory starts to really get higher and higher, and the buyers kind of dwindle, and they're like, oh my gosh, I actually got a house. So now is a great time. And then even as we move into the fall, you'll see much more houses come on in the fall. Again, we have a nice shift. September, October, we'll have a little more inventory, which would be really nice. And then the winter, there isn't as much inventory, but the buyers can get great deals because the people that are selling November, December have to sell.
Exactly.
They're not choosing to
and
sell.
Majority
over
aren't
the
there out there
holidays.
looking at houses because
Right.
they've got other things, so you have less competition as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's say I'm looking into selling my house in the next 6 months. What do I need to know now?
I would say that you need to get your house ready and you need to set your expectations. Hire a professional. Talk to a professional real estate agent. Ask them about the market. Do they know your neighborhood? Do they know the ins and outs and how houses are selling in that market? What are some good strategies? Just get educated. Get your house in tip-top shape so that you're ready when the time comes to sell.
Yeah, great advice. What about for our buyers that are listening right now? If they're thinking, well, maybe I might be thinking of buying in the next 6 months, what should they be doing to prepare to get into the market?
Also, get educated.
Yes.
Figure out which neighborhood you want to live in, where you want to be, and mostly get pre-approved. Talk to you guys. That's where they need to
Amen.
go.
Thank you very much.
First
Yes.
step.
Thanks
they
for
need
that shout out.
Yeah, they need to go talk to you guys, get pre-approved so that they know they have a realistic mindset as to what can I afford, what do those payments look like, and then how does that translate to the markets that I want to potentially move into.
Yeah.
But interest rates are still great and still a fantastic time to buy.
We'd love to know your success and what you credit it to.
Oh, I think it's always just a passion for what I do. Like you mentioned in my little bio in the beginning, as a little kid, I always wanted to be a real estate agent, which is kind of odd
That's
because
cool.
I don't know that every kid growing up is like, hey, I want to be a real estate agent. Neither of my parents are in the business. It just was something that was always in me. So I feel very fortunate to be able to be doing my dream job and being very successful at it. I'm also very honest, very straightforward with everyone that I work with. And I think that people really appreciate that. I'm not here to sell anything to you. I'm here to give you honest advice and to kind of guide you through the process. So I'd say that that's probably the keys to my success.
So, Andrea, things that you're seeing that are causing some challenges right now for your buyers, even though the market is becoming a little more favorable for them.
Yeah, I would say because there is more inventory, they have a lot more choices. So now it's like, oh, well, I don't have to make a decision in 2 days on a home. I actually can wait a week. So there is a lot more inventory to get through. Buyers are definitely, I would say, not as quick to make decisions. So it's taking a little more time for those buyers. But I think once they narrow in on a property, if they've got a good agent, they're usually able to secure that. I think that they just need to understand that even though there is more inventory on the market, you're still not going out and getting a home, at a major discounted price. There's not these amazing deals out there. As I've always told my buyers, the deal is you get a home. That's the deal. Yeah.
Congrats. Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah.
But there's always a little bit of wiggle room. But, if there isn't, then be okay with that. If this is really the right house, you got to look at it as a long-term investment and something that you could, if you're paying a couple thousand more than you thought you were going to, you look at it over, 5, 10, 15, 30 years. Is that really going to make a difference in the long run? Probably not, because you're going to have the home that you really, really wanted.
Yes.
Andrea, my favorite question, share a success story with us. Is there something specifically comes to mind, like a favorite success story?
Favorite success story?
Because I know you got a stack of them.
I know. You're putting me on the spot here. Okay. Success story. Well, I would say probably the biggest successes have been in these multiple offer situations where you go, oh my gosh, there's no way that they're going to get this or whatever it may be. I had some buyers that were VA, 5% down. Actually, they were 0 down. It was a multiple offer situation. There was 10 offers, and they were wondering, how much do we have to go above to actually get this home? And I was like, well, we kind of have to give it all we got, because one of those things where if you're a seller and you're looking at these 10 offers, at what point do you say this offer is better than this offer? Well, usually it's money. So let's put that in there, but let's also write the letter. Let's do everything we can to put you guys in the best position. So what they ended up doing was just offering what they felt was a fair price for the home, but also close to their max amount, but they were willing to go to that amount because they felt like this is our dream house.
Yeah.
And so we did it, and we actually got it. And there was 10 other offers, and I thought, how in the heck? And they said it was a family home that was in the business or in the family for 30 plus years. Wow. And they wrote a great letter about, they were pregnant with their first child and all that. And I think that, knowing sometimes sellers like to hear those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And,
Love that. Great success story. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for coming into the studio, sharing your wealth of information with our listeners.
Yeah.
And coming up on the Money Hour, the truth about being a first-time homebuyer. Vanessa Betancourt with Century 21 WP Associates right here at 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.
You may have noticed our community is experiencing a homeless crisis like never before. But what you might not know is that homeless families, especially mothers with children, are on the rise. They're one of the fastest growing groups right now. They are unsafe on the streets, and although they may not be visible, they are out there and they need our help. Mama's Hands is changing lives in our community through the House of Hope. It's a shelter for women and children in need. House of Hope provides not only support services, but a home-like environment for these families. After they graduate from the program, House of Hope staff continue to keep the families engaged and supported through a whole year-long aftercare program.
I'm Kimberly Jackson, Director at Mama's Hands. We would love to have you get more involved in helping homeless families and individuals in crisis in our community. Please visit our website at mamashands.org. That's MAMMASHANDS.org, mamashands.org. Thank you.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell.
And co-host Keelan Harvey.
You're a local mortgage experts right here at 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, July 28th show. It's a great day to talk money. That's what the show's about, what it's all about, how to make money and have a better quality of life for you and your family. If you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but we're here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that we have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150, or you can go online at themoneyhour.com. And our next guest in studio, Vanessa Betancourt with Century 21 WP Associates, the truth about being a first-time home buyer. Vanessa, first time in studio, thanks for visiting us.
Thank you for having me.
And a little bit about Vanessa. Vanessa is with Century 21, WP and Associates, and a Seattle native. She's been with WP and Associates for 3 years, sharing her knowledge and believing that we are more than just real estate agents. We have the ability to educate and to help people achieve homeownership. She firmly believes that you have to give to receive. She partners with World Vision in Colombia to provide school supplies for kids in high poverty areas and involved locally with Seattle Public Schools, offering homebuyer education classes to parents and staff. Her favorite part about real estate is the relationship that is made that lasts long after the transaction is closed. Her commitment to providing excellent customer service is what sets her apart from the rest.
Vanessa, what is the most common myth that you hear from people before they start this buying a home process?
I hear a lot of things ranging from you need to have a large down payment. The one that I recently heard was that you need to get into debt to fix your credit or to raise your credit.
Weird.
Yes. I had a situation not too long ago where a friend called me and said they had spoken to somebody else a while ago that suggested because they did not have strong enough credit, they go and buy a car. So they had some money saved up and they used it to buy a car.
Wow,
and when
that's
she
crazy.
told me that, I couldn't believe it. I was like, who told you that? And why didn't you come to me first?
Oh, no.
So it was very frustrating when people hear all these myths, and instead of educating themselves and finding out the truth, they just kind of go with the first opinion that they get. But we're working with her, and soon we should be able to get her in a home. I also hear a lot that people that they want to change jobs before they apply for a loan, which is always a red flag. It's always good, you have to meet with your lender first, and if there is a job change in the future, please let them know. I always tell my buyers, don't do anything that can change your financial situation when you're in the pre-approval process. I know that if you are getting a better job with an offer letter, it can be done, but always make sure you speak to your lender before you make any drastic changes to your financial situation.
Great advice, Vanessa, because there's a lot of people that think that they're doing the right thing, but until you talk with an expert, whether it's an expert on the real estate side when it comes to real estate or the expert on the mortgage side when it comes to mortgage. And I do want to make a comment on what you said about credit, because the best way is to get added to an authorized user to someone's established account. I mean, there's easy ways around that. So that's sad sad, but I'm glad that you were able to help them and get them into a better situation. So, Vanessa, how is it different working with first-time homebuyers versus people that have gone through the process before?
Working with first-time homebuyers, I feel that the education portion of the process is huge. I want to make sure that my buyer understands the entire process. With the internet and cell phones, just make it so easy to text and to do electronic signature. I feel that it's important for your agent to meet with you the very first time, at least, to go over the purchase and sale line by line and make sure that they understand completely exactly what they are signing. I feel lucky also that I work with sellers, so I can see, I know the other side, and so I try to build a relationship with the listing agent so that I can go back to my buyers and say, look, I spoke to the agent, this is what's going on, this is what the seller wants, and we can put our best foot forward and avoid the frustration of getting beat out just by communicating with the listing agent.
Makes a lot of sense. So speaking of first-time home buyers, I'm looking in, let's say we're deeper in the process. I found a house I like and I want to put in an offer. So tell us a little bit about your thoughts on waiving inspection and asking over the listing price for first-time home buyers.
The market in the past has made people do some crazy things, one of them including waiving inspection, crossing things off of contracts. And waiving inspection, it can be a dangerous thing. The most important thing is we want to protect your assets. We want to make sure that there's no expensive surprises, that you don't come into a home and you have to change the roof or you have to do all the electrical or there's water in the crawl space. So unless you're a contractor, I always recommend get a home inspection or do a pre-inspection. Now that the market has changed a little bit, we actually have time to do pre-inspection because, before it's like we see a house, they're reviewing offers tomorrow. Are we making an offer or not? So it's definitely eased up a little bit in that aspect that it's not as risky for the consumer to get into a house and they don't have to risk their inspection. And it's definitely worth the $400 to $500 for that peace of mind.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I'm excited about having a little more of a, balanced market. It's a healthy, not quite yet are we there, but maybe heading towards that. So what advice do you have for your frustrated buyers, especially when you're working with a lot of first-time home buyers? There's a lot of frustration and getting bidded out, and you probably have buyers that have actually just given up on the process altogether. So what is your advice to them?
My advice would be don't give up.
Yes.
Keep going. It's always a work in progress. Don't give up the motivation. Be sure to have an agent that is equally as motivated as you.
Good point.
And is equally focused on, I'm going to get in my house, and it's temporary. You're not going to be searching for a home forever. But once we find the home and we get you under contract, you're going to forget that you were even dealing with the frustrations of bidding wars.
Yeah.
Vanessa, what are some of the benefits? I know one of the approaches could be going after a house that's been sitting on the market for a while. When it comes to negotiating, what are some of the benefits of taking that approach?
I always like to have my buyers consider houses that have been on the market for a little bit longer. When a house has been on the market longer, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with the home. It could be, that it's might be a little bit overpriced. Maybe the sellers are not as motivated, and the price usually goes with the motivation of the seller. So I always tell my buyers, just because it's been on the market, don't disregard that house. If it fits your criteria, let's go take a look at it. Maybe we can offer a little bit lower, ask for a closing cost. There's more room for negotiation.
Yeah. And I think that's such great advice to really go after what nobody else is going after.
Exactly.
And if it doesn't make sense, you'll know you're doing the the inspection and you're going through all of the processes. And so great advice. So what about choosing a real estate agent, Vanessa? How would you advise the best way to do that? And also working with a big brokerage like Windermere, John L. Scott, or with your company, Century 21?
I feel that it's more based on the relationship you have with this person. You're going to be spending a lot of time with them, so it needs to be somebody that you trust, somebody that is not going to push you and that is willing to walk away from a deal if it's not in your best interest. The NRA, the National Association of Realtors, did a study and they asked what's the most important thing that people look for when choosing a real estate agent, and it was trust. Yeah. So we didn't sign up with WP and Associates until like 6-7 months ago. Before that, I never had somebody that said I didn't want to work with you because I don't know who WP is.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
What advice do you have for people that are still a couple years out, but homeownership is in the back of their mind?
I think that the moment you start thinking about buying a home is the time that you should start getting ready. Mm-hmm. Whether it is, the first step is going to be speak to a lender, figure out where you're at right now.
Amen.
And you'd be surprised, sometimes they're actually ready to go and they thought their credit score was too low. Yeah. There's a lot of things that hold people back, like I don't have enough down payment, but there's programs for everything.
Tons of them.
But you don't know where to go if you don't know where you're starting. So meet with your lender, meet with Keelan and Tina, and we can set up a roadmap for you and get you in the home. And the most important thing for me is the education portion of it, is teaching them how credit works. Telling them, okay, you're 7 months out, don't increase your debt, lower your debt, do this, and that, so we can set up a game plan so that you are ready, in 6-7 months, 2 years, whatever it may be that you need to do.
Yeah, and you nailed it, Vanessa, because in, the thousands of clients that we've met with, there's so many times that people think, wow, I'm really not in a position to do it, but my agent told me the first thing I need to do is talk with you for lending. And they're pleasantly surprised that, wow, I can. Or the example you gave in they try doing things thinking it's the right thing, and it's, well, in that situation, it was advised by their lender. But, really putting together that plan again, great advice. So outside of not preparing up front and really making sure they're going through those steps to find out where they're at, what would you say would be the next biggest mistake that you would see, especially first-time homebuyers making?
The biggest mistake, I would say, not being realistic with what they're looking for.
Yeah.
I always tell my buyers, we're not trying to find your dream home, or you shouldn't really be trying to find your dream home when it's your first home. Yeah. It's your starter home. You're not going to be in that house for the rest of your life. You're going to outgrow it. You're going to start a family. So looking at something that is going to be comfortable for you, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be a slave to your mortgage either. Yes. You don't want to lose quality of life. So I would say keeping it real and just making sure that your needs are met and differentiating your needs versus your wants. Yeah. And having a good real estate agent, they'll help you, show you the way and say, your mortgage is going to be $1,000 over what you want because you need the 5-piece master bathroom. And if you go without it with this house, your mortgage is going to be in the area that you want it to be.
And that's a good way to explain it. Really, it's boils down to what that payment's going to be, how much it's going to cost them. And if you go, well, this is an extra $1,000, is it really worth that in the things that you're going to need to give up? And if it is, that's great. But if not, they've got that information.
Yes.
Yeah.
Vanessa, what about a first-time buyer that thinks they can't afford a house in Seattle? What would you tell them?
The things they cannot afford a house in Seattle. Well, the houses in Seattle, they're a little pricey. I would say open up your search. Yeah. Go a little bit north, go a little bit south. We're seeing a lot of activity in like Renton, Kent, Maple Valley, and then in the north end, like Everett, places like Silver Lake, Mill Creek. Those are really good areas for you to find your starter home.
Yeah. And, thank you so much for all of the commitment. I know you work with a lot of buyers, investment buyers and, move up buyers, but I know that you have a passion with first time home buyers. And I, thank you for putting some focus on that market because a lot of real estate experts don't. It's more work. And so thank you. And thanks for coming in and visiting us in studio. We're excited to have you come back.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
And coming up next on the Money Hour, we have Vincent Humphrey, attorney at law at Humphrey and Associates, divorcing. Hot questions regarding real estate when it comes to divorce. Right here at 11:50 a.m. KKNW after this short break.
Never imagined your marriage would be ending? Not sure if you're going to be the weekend parent? How long is the divorce process going to take, and who can you trust? The attorneys at Humphrey & Associates understand that these are just a few questions that may be going through your mind. You're not alone, and they've helped many people in your same position. Their mission is to serve you while you get through this difficult time. Divorce and parenting plans are difficult enough. Working with an attorney shouldn't be. Humphrey & Associates is committed to providing affordable legal services that you can trust. You need good, solid legal advice that isn't going to cost a fortune. Worry no more. To schedule your free consultation, just call 206-946-8580 or go online to halegalteam.com.
Hi, this is Vincent Humphrey. Go ahead and give us a call today at 206-946-8580, or you can reach us online at halegalteam.com. Again, that's 206-946-8580, or online at halegalteam.com. Love to hear from you.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell.
And co-host Keelan Harvey.
Your local mortgage experts right here at 1150 AM KKNW, the July 28th show. Bringing into studio each week the best of the best experts on everything regarding your money. We're here to help you in today's economy. If you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but we're here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that we have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And right now I'll have a conversation with Vincent Humphrey, attorney at law with Humphrey & Associates, and we're talking about divorcing and how that can affect your property. Vincent, thank you so much for coming back in studio.
Tina, always a pleasure to be here.
Likewise. So a little bit about Vincent. Vincent Humphrey, again, attorney at law with Humphrey & Associates, PLLC, which focuses on family law and civil litigation. His passion is bringing justice and clarity to those in need. His experience allows him to work well in many different situations, and his service first mentally allows him to break past the toughest scenarios. Vincent holds a Juris Doctorate degree from the University Idaho College of Law and a Bachelor's of Arts degree from the University of Washington. He has advised executives from Fortune 100 companies as well as the working man and woman at the local grocery store. So he works with them all. Vincent participates in various legal organizations in King County where he mentors other lawyers and is interested in helping good people going through tough situations. And it kind of sounds like a little bit of a passion behind what you do. And I really love that. Good people that are going through difficult situations is a great thing to be able to do, Vincent. And really today we're talking about the unfortunate situation of going through a divorce, as we know that there are many good people going through that bad situation. And being this is about money, talking a lot about real estate, bringing in how that's going regarding your property is a topic that I wanted to go over. So Vincent, can you explain to my listeners what community property means?
Yeah, there's, I could give the legal definition from the RCW, but I don't want anybody to go to sleep today.
Your description, your definition.
Yeah. And just as a precursor, I know I said I'm thankful to be here, but I just want everybody to know that's listening that Tina, you're wonderful. Tina, just quick plug for her. She wrote a book and she actually allowed me to have a copy of that, and I actually just finished it. And so I hadn't had an opportunity to see her since then. But for those of you that don't know who she is, she's an amazing person. She's not paying me to say this, but I'm saying she's an amazing person, and I hold her in that much high regard. So I just wanted to say that at the outset that, Tina, I'm so happy to be here and see you and know a little bit more about your backstory. And for those of you that don't know about that, you definitely should check that out. It'll give you a better perspective as to who she is and why she does what she does. But enough of that. Community property, right? That's the question.
Community
property. A couple of years back, I was just looking through just some of our archives at our office, and this is a situation that comes up very frequently. And so I remember we did a show, I think literally about 2 years ago, talking about community property and money, and it is something that comes up consistently with our clients. And I think it's one of those things that will help a lot of people. So if you're listening and you're in that situation, pay attention here. So going through the divorce process, one of the things to know in Washington State is that there's really 3 different frames, if you will, of how property is looked at. And when I say property, we're meaning obviously your tangible property, such as a house, but also other soft assets, stocks, or other bonds, or other sort of assets that are appreciating in value. So, like I said, I won't define it, but in our RCW, it defines it as things that you have that have been acquired since the date of I do. So a lot of times for my clients, I tell them that when you said I do, that opened up this new category called community property. So people going through a divorce, a lot of them know that. They say, well, yeah, it's 50-50, right? And that's within the marital community. So think of it from the point when you said I do to, well, I don't.
Yes, makes sense.
But between those two statements there, everything that you have acquired in assets as well as liabilities, and I think that's another thing that people should be aware of, that it's not just the appreciable assets, right? If you've got a spending problem, or, we've got a, it's unfortunate, but a lot of people make $1 and spend $5. Well, in that scenario, understanding that however you have leveraged yourself, credit cards, second mortgage, third, fourth, I don't know how far you can go down that route, but if you're leveraged to the hilt, understanding that that is also community property, and that extends to everything from pensions, 401ks, IRAs. I call that the marriage tax. When it gets to that point where we say I don't, the first question to know is, well, when did you acquire this? Was that after I do, or did you have something from before I do, or after I don't? And we can talk about that here.
And a very good description there, Vincent. And when it comes to mortgages with FHA, because Washington is a community property state, and so FHA looks at, and this is a little shout out because I actually talked about FHA for the appraisal process. If you're going on an FHA loan, they do look at it as a community property state, and so everything that was acquired, you have to qualify for both of the debts on that. So yes, you're taking on those liabilities. So Vincent, what about separate property? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that a lot of people don't know or not aware of. Everybody kind of focuses on, it's community property state, 50-50, that's kind of the end of it. And it's not true. There's, especially for those that maybe are in their second or third marriage, or just waited until maybe, let's say, 30, 40s, 50s, 60s, or beyond. Good for you if you're in that beyond category. But in that situation, everything that you have from before marriage is what we are considering separate property, and that's defined in our statute. For those of you that want to Google it, it's RCW 26.16.010, and that defines separate property. And in kind of my take on that, think of it as property that you had prior to that statement, I do. So what you came into the marriage with, so if you said, look, in my IRA, I had, X amount of dollars, it still is your money, even though you're married now. That is not subject to, there's always exceptions, and so I'll put that as a qualifier that yes, there are exceptions where you can convert money or assets from before marriage into making them community. But simply speaking, if you are able to keep that separate, that is your separate account, you have the statements or other documents to show that it is in fact property that you had prior to marriage, that will be looked at differently. So money that you have in that context is separate and is yours. So
then anything that is yours before marriage, can it be considered community property or no?
It can be. And that's one of those things where if you, what we call commingle. So you had an account and it had some money in it, and then you guys bought a house, but you couldn't show the paper trail, and you kind of put it all in the pot together, in the community pot, and then you were buying groceries from there, and then you were adding improvements to your home, and you're not able to show how that money was derived, it can lose its what we call character. It can lose that tag of separate property. So one of the things that is very prudent to do is to make sure that you keep your documents, be able to show that, yes, I had this account, it had this amount of money, I transferred this amount of money to this account, from that account, I bought this, so that way you can show the court. So a lot of people that, even if they are aware that they have separate property, they don't keep a good paper trail. And when you get to the court, judicial officers are not CPAs. They're not financial accountants. And if they can't make a determination as to where did that come from, it will then be recharacterized.
So just like in the mortgage world, the popular term, not a popular fun term, but paper trail. Everything has to be paper trail and documented. So getting back to debt, so assets, it makes sense in that. Let's talk about debts, because I mentioned FHA and financing. If you can show that the debts were in your name only and they were before the marriage, then they're not used against qualifying if that other spouse is on the loan himself. himself or herself. It's only if they're on it together, but anything that was purchased at the time or that they took out at the time is both of theirs. So what about when it comes to the law about debts that were acquired prior to getting married?
Very similar. And so debts that are acquired prior to marriage, just like assets, would be considered your separate liability. So for the millennials, that comes in a lot of times with student loan debt to say, well, we got married, but I had this student loan. That doesn't all of a sudden become the debt of your spouse. Now, if you continue on your studies after you say, I do, to the extent that you are matriculating past that point, yes, then that could be considered some sort of community debt. I mean, there's still other arguments there because, you're not going to school on behalf of the other person. But still, simply put, understanding that debts that you have prior to marriage will continue to be your separate obligation. So that's something to know. And that's where, I know this isn't the topic of this show, but prenuptial agreements, that's where that talk comes in, because what that does is it defines very clearly who has what, from their debts to their assets, so that in the event that it doesn't work out, and there's statistics, I won't spout those now, in regards to chances of success or a marriage that ends at the time of death or something along those lines. So understanding that prenuptial agreements come and they help these conversations.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about the divide of real estate, because I have a lot of clients that come to me when they're going through a divorce, and some are selling the property so that they can get the cash that they need to pay out the spouse, and the others not. So how does that work? How are they going to divide that property?
Yeah. And one of the things that I'm sure you see this too, Tina, that a lot of couples, what they do, they have one spouse, maybe that's the earner, and one that kind of maintains the house, or maybe doesn't earn as much, and maybe is unaware of all of the finances and how things are divided out. And to that, I say that the court is very cold. It's pretty, we'll say it's kind of black and white in regards to, well, if somebody is entitled to half the equity in the house, it doesn't matter, right, that if you're trying to keep it, you're trying to take your check and you're trying to balance out all of the bills. Simply put, on paper, that half is theirs. So to the extent that somebody wants to keep a house and the other party or the other person, spouse, says, I want to sell it, I just want my money, if you can pay, if you have the cash available, you can do that. You can buy them out, and then you would have to refinance to get them out of the mortgage and those sort of obligations. And so that's another thing to know as well, that just because you've done that, or maybe even, let's say there's a quit claim deed that's involved, that doesn't mean when there is a mortgage involved that you are released from your liability. That takes an extra step. And a lot of attorneys, they don't do that. They just say, oh, sign a quit claim, you don't have any interest, but that doesn't get whoever your holder is out of the picture, because they can still come after you.
Yeah. So let's talk about that extravagant gift. Brand new Ferrari, and it was specifically given at a 5-year anniversary. So obviously it was a gift. How does that come into play?
First of all, wow.
I know myself. My husband hasn't given me that extravagant gift.
I was going to say, I want to go for a ride. I'm a Lambo guy, but we'll go for a ride. The thing to know there is to, again, ask that question. Is this from before marriage? When did you get that? I'm assuming in this context that maybe it was during marriage. And so with that, then the next question is, well, did they do it outright? Or is there a debt on that? Because they said, oh, here it is for you. I've financed it. Well, did we just create a debt there? So that's another question when somebody's giving extravagant gifts from, oh, here's a nice Rolex, or here's some Manolo Blahniks, or here's a nice trip out just for you. Did you pay for that, and how did you pay for that? Where did that money come from? Was that my money? Did you take out another mortgage to give me this Ferrari? Thank you, but not really. So
gift, the idea that it's a gift, it doesn't matter. It's still
it could still be considered community property or community debt. So let's just take another assumption and assume that it was separate cash and they paid for it outright. Typically, a gift is a gift, and where you will see this more, I guess, more realistically than the Ferrari is the wedding ring. When things go bad and they say, that Tiffany solitaire, that's 7 carats. Well, what happens with that? Well, a lot of times that was given before marriage. So now you can see that's separate property, and it was a gift.
Got it.
I mean, they can be nice, but a lot of times...
So sad for that husband situation, because usually that's where it's going to come in. So, Vince, if your spouse and yourself have a business together, a co-owned business, that seems like it get really complicated. I mean, we could probably have a whole show on that question. So How do they look at that?
Really quickly, I would say that's where you would get outside help. That's where you get a financial advisor or a planner to evaluate the business and then to be able to assign some sort of value to both sides. So you're right, that maybe that'll be the next show, but there's a whole lot to that question.
Yeah, so it sounds like really when it comes to marriage and really anything else when it comes to law, just making sure that you have everything protected and documented and really understand how everything works, because nothing is guaranteed and no exceptions there when it comes to marriage. So you just want to make sure that you're looking at the worst case scenario and understanding what that is. And if you need assistance and you've got any legal issue that's going on, really the Money Hour, what the show is all about, is setting you up with the best of the best in the industry in all aspects of protecting your money so that you can have protect your family. So I encourage for you to call the show and connect with Vincent. And Vincent, thank you so much for coming back in studio.
Truly a pleasure. I look forward to that lunch and coffee.
Likewise. Thank you. This is your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, signing off for the day.
And co-host Keelan Harvey.
Right here at 1150 AM KKNW. We'll be back same time, same place next weekend. Enjoy the weekend, everybody.
Tina Mitchell, MLO 145420, and Keelan Harvey, MLO 1330075, are licensed loan originators with Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC, and MLS 7233. The views expressed by the speakers on the preceding program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC, nor are they necessarily endorsed by Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC.